What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video, and your boy is back in the studio. You don't gotta tell me in the comments section. I know I have so many videos to make after the Patriots. I had several rumors come out about them while, unfortunately, I was on vacation in Florida. But nonetheless, we're back in the studio, and I will be dropping all of these videos on the rumors and news surrounding the Patriots. But in this one, we're going to be talking about how the Patriots are interested in signing Allen Robinson in free agency, and how last offseason they were interested in signing him to a lucrative deal. Now, this news is coming from Mike Giardi, so this is an actual, genuine, legit report coming out. This is not just speculation, and even goes as far to say as the Patriots have done extensive work on not just the 2022 wide receiver draft class, but also the 2022 free agent wide receiver class. Now, again, as you can tell by the title, one of the receivers the Patriots are doing their due diligence on, and someone they're going to have on their radar, is Allen Robinson, who is finally expected to hit free agency. The Bears did not decide to tag him. They're expected to let him hit free agency, which ultimately means that Allen Robinson, 90% likely to be playing somewhere else other than Chicago in this upcoming season. Now, this does make a lot of sense because, as a report just before this one came out, the Patriots were interested in Allen Robinson last offseason. Let's remember, this is when the Patriots were top 3 in cap space. They went out on that big free agency spending spree. They had the money to go ahead and sign Allen Robinson if they wanted at the time, but unfortunately, Chicago did franchise tag him, meaning that the Patriots would have to give up a first-round pick for him and take on that contract, and they were not willing to do so, rightfully so, which ultimately is why Allen Robinson never came to New England. Now, that move actually could have panned out well for the Patriots. Now, of course, Allen Robinson is going to have a market. Despite last year and his down season, which we will talk about, he's been a very good wide receiver in this league, and before this past year, before 2021, in his slump year, he had a big market for teams willing to trade for him. But of course, Chicago did decline, and they placed the franchise tag on him 2 years in a row. Now, last year, Allen Robinson caught 38 passes for 410 yards and just 1 touchdown. That is his worst season since he tore his ACL in 2017, which rightfully gives him a bad season. Because of this down year, I don't expect him to get this big, lucrative deal that is going to pay him $20+ million a year. Don't get me wrong, Allen Robinson, he is going to have a market. The Patriots aren't going to be the only team that is interested in him. But because Allen Robinson had a down year, because he's been so quiet, because he is not a top 5 wide receiver anymore, I do expect his market to be down for this upcoming March in free agency, meaning that if the Patriots do sign him, I firmly do believe that they could get him on a cheaper deal than if they had tried to trade for him or even sign him in free agency last year. Now, this 6'2", 220-pound wide receiver is essentially what New England wanted out of N'Keal Harry. Allen Robinson is what N'Keal Harry should have been. And obviously, the Patriots drafted N'Keal Harry for a reason. They liked that 50-50 ball catcher. They liked that big wide receiver down on the sideline. Obviously, that's not what they got out of N'Keal Harry, but just because they didn't get that out of N'Keal Harry doesn't mean that that's not the type of receiver the Patriots are still looking for. It just means that didn't pan out well with N'Keal. Now, Robinson has been playing since 2014 when he started his career with the Jacksonville Jags, and then over the course of the last 4 seasons had played with Chicago. So in that case, New England will be getting a veteran wide receiver, which I do like the idea of them doing. So I think they do have already a lot of, young guys, and guys they'll potentially even draft at the wide receiver position in this upcoming draft. So I definitely don't hate the idea of going with a strong veteran wide receiver on the outside. Now, Allen Robinson has had 3 seasons where he has eclipsed at least 1,000 yards. The first time was in 2015 where he eclipsed 1,400 yards. The second time was in 2019 where he eclipsed 1,100 yards. And in 2020 was the third time he eclipsed over 1,000 yards with 1,250. Also, with that size that we just talked about, being at 6'2", he's going to bring height. He's going to bring a legitimate red zone threat to this offense, which I definitely think that they could use outside of Hunter Henry. And Allen Robinson, 120% is going to bring that. I mean, he put up 14 touchdowns alone in 2015. He put up 7 touchdowns in 2019, 6 touchdowns in 2020. So definitely a guy that will produce in the end zone when given the opportunity. Now, despite being drafted in 2014, he is still in his 20s. He hasn't peaked his 30s yet, which is kind of that age where people start to question the type of contract you're going to give players. And it sits at a bit of an awkward position. I don't think New England would go out and give him a straight 4-year contract coming off a down year, obviously being 28 years old. I could honestly see if Allen Robinson comes to New England, this being a 2 to 3 year contract. With that being said, New England only has about $9.5 million currently to spend between free agency, trades, draft. So they're still going to have to make a lot of moves. But again, I do still think you would get Allen Robinson on a cheaper deal if you do sign him compared to what you would have gotten in recent years because of the statistics that he was putting up. Allen Robinson would obviously give the Patriots that true wide receiver 1 role. I know a lot of people are going to look at this past year and say, is he really a wide receiver 1? Is he consistent? Yes, he's been a very good wide receiver. This was a bad year for him. He didn't play a full season. Chicago was obviously going through quarterback issues, and just Chicago alone over the last few seasons has been going through a lot of issues as a franchise. And I do just believe that this is one of those cases where Allen Robinson just needs to go to a different destination to start succeeding again. Now, my verdict on if the Patriots should sign him or not, is he my favorite wide receiver in this free agency class? No. Is he my first option for the Patriots to sign? No. Is he my second option for the Patriots to sign? No. I am not the biggest Allen Robinson fan. I definitely believe that whether the Patriots look towards free agency or they look towards trades, that there's definitely better receivers that they could get for this specific system. But if New England does go out and sign Allen Robinson, I'm not going to be mad. I'm still going to be excited. I definitely think that it is going to help open up this offense tremendously and give Mac Jones a true wide receiver 1. I definitely don't think that this is going to be, a N'Keal Harry situation if you do sign Allen Robinson. But again, I do believe that there are still better options that you could go with system-wise. But clearly, New England does have a lot of interest in him, not just reported this offseason, but even last offseason. This has been a guy that Belichick has really wanted to get in the building. So definitely makes a lot of sense, is going to be a guy to watch for the Patriots in just a couple of weeks. But what are your guys' thoughts on Allen Robinson? Would you like to see him in a New England Patriots uniform in 2022? And what type of contract would you give him if you would sign him? And if you wouldn't sign him, let me know in the comment section why you wouldn't. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and go Pats.